Maya adjusted her blazer as she stepped into the bustling streets of downtown, the sun casting a warm glow on the high-rise buildings around her. The city pulsed with life, a cacophony of sounds and scents that filled the air. She could almost forget the burdens she carried, the weight of her family's financial struggles, and the pressure of her demanding job at the prestigious law firm where she worked as a junior associate. With each step, she felt the familiar rhythm of her daily routine, a mix of determination and exhaustion that kept her moving forward. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, pulling her from her thoughts. A message from her younger brother, Malik, flashed on the screen, reminding her of the family dinner planned for that evening. It was a small comfort amidst the chaos of her life, but it was also a reminder of the sacrifices she made to keep her family afloat. She typed a quick response, assuring him she would be there, before tucking her phone away and entering the sleek glass building of her workplace. Inside, the atmosphere was a blend of ambition and competition. Colleagues rushed past her, their heads down, focused on their tasks. Maya had always prided herself on her resilience, her ability to navigate the male-dominated environment and prove herself. But today, the pressure felt heavier than usual. She had a crucial meeting with a potential client, and the stakes were high. The firm depended on her to make a good impression, and she couldn't afford to let her nerves get the best of her. As Maya settled at her desk, she glanced at the clock, mentally preparing for the meeting ahead. Her thoughts, however, kept drifting to the looming debt her family owed to a shadowy figure she had only heard whispers about, Haruto. The name sent shivers down her spine, a Yakuza boss who operated in the underbelly of the city. She had never met him, but the stories were enough to keep her awake at night. The thought of her family being tied to such a dangerous world filled her with dread. The meeting approached, and Maya forced herself into a professional mindset. She reviewed her notes, her heart racing as she envisioned the client's face. It was a high-stakes case that could make or break her career. The room buzzed with energy as her colleagues filtered in, and she took a deep breath, ready to put her best foot forward. The presentation went smoothly, filled with confident dialogue and persuasive arguments. Just as she began to relax, her phone buzzed again, this time with an unknown number. Curiosity piqued, she glanced at the screen, only to see a single message. "Tonight, you will meet Haruto." Maya's heart dropped. It was an invitation, or perhaps a summons. Anxiety surged through her as she considered the implications. What did this mean for her family? What did it mean for her? She forced herself to focus on the meeting, yet the weight of that message lingered in her mind, casting a shadow over her success. By the time the meeting ended, Maya was exhausted. She gathered her belongings and stepped out into the night, the city lights twinkling like stars against the dark sky. The air was cooler now, and she felt a shiver as she recalled the message. There was no way she could ignore it. She needed to face whatever was coming her way, for her family's sake. As she walked to her car, her mind raced with thoughts of Haruto. He was notorious, a figure known for his ruthlessness and power. The story she'd heard painted a picture of a man who was both feared and respected, a dangerous combination. But beneath that fear, there was an undeniable intrigue, a magnetic pull that tugged at her curiosity. How could someone so powerful also possess a charm that captivated those around him? Pulling up her navigation app, she hesitated for a moment. The address displayed was in a part of the city she had never ventured into, a territory known to be controlled by the Yakuza. Her instincts screamed at her to turn back, but the thought of her family's debt loomed larger than her fear. She had to find out what Haruto wanted, and if there was any way to resolve the situation without further entangling herself in his world. The drive felt surreal. The streets grew darker, the buildings taller and more imposing. Maya's heart raced as she approached the designated location, a lavish rooftop lounge that overlooked the city skyline. The glimmering lights of the city below contrasted sharply with the ominous nature of her mission. She parked her car, steeling herself for what lay ahead. As she entered the lounge, the atmosphere shifted. It was upscale, with a sophisticated air that surrounded the guests. People mingled, their laughter ringing out, but Maya felt out of place. She scanned the room, her pulse quickening, as she spotted a figure standing by the bar. The man was tall, with an air of confidence that seemed to draw the attention of everyone around him. Haruto. He was everything she had imagined and more. Dressed in a tailored suit, he exuded power and charisma. His dark hair was slicked back, revealing sharp features that commanded respect. But it was his eyes that caught her attention. Intense and piercing, they seemed to see right through her. A chill ran down her spine, and she felt an involuntary shiver as their gazes locked. "Ah, you must be Maya," he said, his voice smooth like silk, but with an underlying edge that made her stomach knot. "I've been expecting you." His presence was overwhelming, and she fought to maintain her composure. I received your message," she stammered, taking a step closer. The tension in the air was palpable, making it difficult to breathe. "Good," he replied, his gaze unwavering. "We have much to discuss." Maya swallowed hard, acutely aware of the weight of his words. She had read about the Yakuza's reputation, and the stories did not do justice to the man standing before her. There was an allure to him, a danger that both excited and terrified her. "I'm here to talk about my family's debt," she said, forcing herself to sound more confident than she felt. Haruto's lips curled into a knowing smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Yes, your family's debt. A rather unfortunate situation, wouldn't you agree?" Maya nodded, her heart racing. "I need to know if there's a way to resolve this without further complications." He took a step closer, invading her personal space, and she felt her breath hitch. "Complications are inevitable in my world, Maya, but you are resourceful. I believe we can come to an arrangement." "What kind of arrangement?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Your debt is paid," he replied, his tone serious but tinged with a hint of mischief. The gravity of his words hung in the air, and Maya felt her pulse quicken. "What do you mean?" He leaned in slightly, his presence both intimidating and magnetic. "You will assist me in certain matters, and in return, I will ensure your family's debt is forgiven. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement." Maya's mind raced. She was not naive. She understood the implications of what he was suggesting. "I'm not sure I can agree to that," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. Haruto's gaze softened for a brief moment, revealing a flicker of vulnerability. "I understand your hesitation, but consider this. Your family's safety is at stake. I can offer protection, but I need your cooperation." The tension in the air thickened as Maya weighed her options. She felt trapped between her desire to protect her family and the allure of the unknown that Haruto represented. "What exactly would I need to do?" she asked, curiosity piqued despite her better judgment. He smiled again, the corners of his mouth lifting in a way that made her heart race. "For now, nothing too dangerous. Just a few tasks that require your unique skill set." Maya struggled to keep her composure. She was a lawyer, not a criminal. "And if I refuse?" Haruto's expression shifted, a coldness settling over him. "Then your family will face the consequences. I would hate for that to happen." The threat hung in the air, and Maya's heart sank. She had no choice. She needed to protect her family, even if it meant stepping into a world that terrified her. "Fine," she replied, determination hardening her resolve. "I'll help you." Excellent, he said, a glimmer of satisfaction in his eyes. Welcome to my world, Maya. As she stood there, the weight of her decision pressing down on her, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was stepping into a dangerous game. Haruto's world was filled with shadows, and she was drawn to him in a way that both excited and frightened her. The night was just beginning, and Maya had no idea how deep the rabbit hole would go. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear. Maya stood in the dimly lit office, the air thick with tension as Haruto's piercing gaze held her captive. The luxurious decor of the room felt like a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing inside her. She had entered this space as a simple woman trying to fend for her family, but now she found herself ensnared in a world steeped in power and danger. The weight of her decision to help Haruto pressed heavily on her shoulders, yet there was a flicker of intrigue that refused to be extinguished. "What do you want from me?" Maya asked, her voice steady despite the tremors of uncertainty coursing through her. She had to know exactly what she was getting into. Haruto leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled together, a calculating look on his face. "Your family owes a debt," he began, his tones smooth but laced with an undercurrent of menace. "I can help you pay it off, but in return, I need you to assist me in some business matters." Maya felt the blood drain from her face. She had heard whispers about the Yakuza, rumors that painted them as ruthless and unyielding. "What kind of business?" she pressed, unwilling to show fear, yet acutely aware of the danger surrounding her. "Nothing too complicated," he assured, his smile disarming yet unsettling. "Just some errands, meetings, and occasionally acting as my liaison in the civilian world. You'll be safe as long as you're with me." His eyes softened for a brief moment, revealing a vulnerability that startled her. "Safe?" she echoed incredulously. "You're involved in the Yakuza. What does that even mean?" Haruto leaned forward, his intensity drawing her in. "It means I have enemies, Maya, but it also means I have power. You'll learn to navigate this world, and in return, I will ensure your family is protected. They won't suffer for the mistakes of others." Maya's heart raced. The stakes were higher than she could have imagined. "And what happens if I refuse?" she challenged, trying to regain some semblance of control. A cool smile returned to Haruto's lips, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Then your family will face the consequences. I would hate for that to happen." The threat hung in the air, and Maya's heart sank. She had no choice. She needed to protect her family, even if it meant stepping into a world that terrified her. "Fine," she replied, determination hardening her resolve. "I'll help you." "Excellent," he said, a glimmer of satisfaction in his eyes. "Welcome to my world, Maya." As she stood there, the weight of her decision pressing down on her, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was stepping into a dangerous game. Haruto's world was filled with shadows and uncertainty, and she was drawn to him in a way that both excited and frightened her. The night was just beginning, and Maya had no idea how deep the rabbit hole would go. Days passed, each one merging into the next as Maya tried to adapt to her new reality. Haruto had introduced her to his world, a blend of opulence and danger that was both intoxicating and overwhelming. She found herself accompanying him to exclusive events, high-end restaurants, and secretive meetings that felt like stepping into a different universe. At first, she was an outsider, observing the intricate dance of power that unfolded around her. The lavish venues were filled with elegantly dressed individuals, each one more polished than the last. Yet beneath the glitzy facade lay a current of tension, a reminder of the underworld that thrummed just beneath the surface. Haruto was always at the center, commanding respect and attention, a king amidst his court. But as the days turned into weeks, Maya began to understand the intricacies of this world. She realized that her role was more than just a pawn in Haruto's game. She was beginning to carve out her own place. She was smart, resourceful, and determined to protect her family at all costs. One evening, as they sat in a private booth at an upscale restaurant, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. Haruto had arranged a meeting with potential allies, and Maya felt the weight of her new responsibilities. She caught Haruto watching her, an intensity in his gaze that sent shivers down her spine. "Just be yourself," he said softly, his voice low enough for only her to hear. "They will respect you if you show confidence." Maya nodded, though her stomach churned. She could feel the eyes of the others on her, scrutinizing her every move. She didn't belong to this world, yet in Haruto's presence, she felt an unexplainable sense of security. The way he leaned in closer, his arm brushing against hers, ignited a spark of something she couldn't quite name. As the evening progressed, Maya engaged in conversation with the guests, her natural charm shining through. She learned how to navigate the subtle politics of the Yakuza, her wit and intelligence earning her respect. Haruto observed her with a mixture of pride and admiration, his demeanor softening whenever she caught his eye. But as the night wore on, a figure entered the room that made the atmosphere shift. A tall man with an air of menace about him approached their table, and Haruto's expression instantly changed. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. "Haruto," the man said, his voice smooth yet threatening, "I heard you've been mixing business with pleasure. A risky gamble, don't you think?" "Yamako," Haruto replied, his tone cool but edged with tension. "What brings you here?" "I wanted to see for myself how far you've fallen," Yamato said, glancing at Maya with a predatory smile. "A pretty little thing like her, you must be getting desperate." Maya's heart raced as she sensed the animosity between them. She could feel Haruto's body tense beside her, a protective instinct radiating off him. "Watch your mouth," Haruto warned, his voice low and dangerous. "You don't want to make an enemy of me." Yamato laughed, the sound devoid of humor. "I'm not afraid of you, Haruto, and I certainly have no interest in your little pet." Maya bristled at his words, anger flaring inside her. She was no one's pet. "I'm not a trophy to be won," she snapped, surprising herself with her boldness. The tension in the air thickened as Haruto's gaze shifted to Maya, a flicker of admiration in his eyes. "You'll want to be careful, Maya," he warned softly, still focused on Yamato. "He doesn't play nice." Yamato's smile faded. "Neither do I." He leaned closer, a menacing glint in his eye. "Just remember, Haruto, your empire is built on shaky ground. One wrong move, and everything you've built will come crashing down." With that, Yamato turned and sauntered away, leaving a heavy silence in his wake. Maya could feel the tension in Haruto's body, his jaw clenched as he processed the threat. "What was that about?" she asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Haruto took a moment to compose himself, his eyes darkening. "Yamato is a rival. He's dangerous and has been a thorn in my side for far too long. But you just stood up to him. That's not something many would dare to do." Maya felt a rush of pride at his words. "I won't let anyone disrespect me," she replied, determination tinging her voice. Haruto's expression softened, and for a moment the coldness melted away, revealing the man beneath the boss. I appreciate that, but you need to remain cautious. This world is unforgiving. Maya nodded, the weight of his warning settling over her. But in that moment, she also felt a connection forming between them, one that transcended the boundaries of their differing worlds. As they left the restaurant, the night air was cool against her skin. Haruto walked beside her, the atmosphere charged with unspoken words. She could sense the danger lingering in the shadows, but it was also a thrill, igniting something deep within her. "Where are we headed now?" Maya asked as they entered his sleek car, the engine purring to life. "Back to my place," he replied, glancing at her with an intensity that made her heart race. "I need to discuss some plans with you. Things are escalating, and I want you to be prepared." Maya felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. "What kind of plans?" "Plans that could change everything," Haruto replied cryptically, his eyes focused on the road ahead. As they drove through the city, the lights flashing past like stars, Maya couldn't help but wonder what lay ahead. Her life had shifted dramatically since meeting Haruto, and each day brought new challenges and discoveries. Upon arriving at his penthouse, she stepped inside, marveling at the breathtaking view of the skyline. The city sprawled beneath them, alive and vibrant. It felt surreal, standing in a place so luxurious, yet fraught with peril. Haruto gestured for her to sit, and she took a seat on the plush leather couch, the tension from earlier still hanging in the air. He joined her, leaning forward, his expression serious. "We need to discuss Yamato and the implications of his threats," he began, his voice low and steady. "He has powerful connections, and if he decides to act, it could put you and your family in danger." Maya swallowed hard, the weight of his words settling heavily on her. "What can we do?" "I'll need you to be my eyes and ears," he explained. "I need you to gather information, to be vigilant. You're not just here because of the debt. I see potential in you, Maya. You can help me navigate this world." Her heart raced at the responsibility he was placing on her shoulders. "I'll do whatever it takes to protect my family," she vowed, her voice firm. Haruto studied her, a flicker of admiration crossing his features. "I believe you, but you must also know that risks come with this life. You'll have to trust me." Maya nodded, feeling a surge of determination. She was ready to step into the unknown, ready to fight for her family and carve out a new path. As she looked into Haruto's eyes, she could see the depth of his conviction, and despite the chaos surrounding them, she felt an undeniable connection growing stronger. But as the night deepened, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that danger was closing in. She was standing at the precipice, and the choices she made from this point forward would shape not only her life, but the lives of those she loved. As she prepared to face the challenges ahead, Maya realized that she was no longer just an innocent bystander in Haruto's world. She was becoming a player in a game that held the promise of love, power, and peril. And with every heartbeat, the stakes grew higher, intertwining their fates in ways she could never have imagined. Maya felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her chest as she adjusted her grip on the steering wheel, navigating the dimly lit streets of the city. Haruto's words echoed in her mind, a constant reminder of the precarious balance she now found herself in. "Your family's debt is more complicated than you think." The gravity of that statement hung over her, casting a shadow on her once ordinary life. As she pulled into the parking lot of a lavish rooftop restaurant, the city skyline glittering against the night sky, a wave of anxiety washed over her. She had agreed to join Haruto for dinner, but the thought of being alone with him made her heart race, both in fear and anticipation. What would he reveal about the debt, and how would she handle it when confronted with the reality of his world? Stepping out of the car, she smoothed down her dress, a simple yet elegant garment that made her feel confident yet vulnerable. The restaurant was a place of opulence, filled with the soft hum of conversation and the clinking of glasses. Maya took a deep breath, reminding herself that she was here to gather information, not to get lost in Haruto's charm. As she entered, her gaze immediately landed on him. Haruto sat at a secluded table, his posture relaxed yet commanding. He wore a tailored suit that accentuated his broad shoulders, the fabric hugging him in all the right places. His dark hair glistened under the soft lights, and the way he held a glass of whiskey added an air of sophistication that made him all the more alluring. But there was an edge to him, a tension that simmered just beneath the surface. "Glad you could make it," he said, his voice low and smooth as she approached. There was a hint of a smile on his lips, but Maya sensed the seriousness behind his eyes. "I wouldn't miss it," she replied, trying to keep her tone light despite the fluttering in her stomach. "I just didn't expect such a fancy place." "Only the best for our discussions," he said, gesturing for her to sit. As she settled into the plush chair across from him, she couldn't help but feel the intensity of his gaze, as if he could see through her defenses. The waiter approached, and Haruto ordered for them both with an air of confidence that made Maya both impressed and anxious. She couldn't shake the feeling that the meal wasn't just about food. It was a prelude to something much more significant. "So, about the debt," she began, her voice steadier than she felt. "What exactly does it mean, and why me?" Haruto leaned back, studying her with an intensity that made her heart race. "Your family's situation is complicated. They owe money, and it's not just a simple loan. There are expectations tied to that debt." Maya's stomach dropped. "Expectations?" she echoed, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes," he said, his eyes piercing hers. "Expectations that involve you. I didn't want to burden you with this at first, but circumstances have changed. I'm in a position where I need to protect you, Maya, and the best way to ensure your safety is to keep you close." "Close?" she repeated, feeling a mix of confusion and concern. "What does that mean for me?" "It means," he said, his tone serious, "that I will be taking on the responsibility of your family's debt. But as a trade, you will be expected to work with me, alongside me. I need someone I can trust, someone who understands the stakes involved." Maya's mind raced. "You want me to work for you? In what capacity?" "In the way of assisting with my business dealings," he replied, the gravity of his words settling between them. "I need someone who can navigate the corporate world, someone who knows how to handle delicate situations. Your legal background makes you uniquely qualified." She shook her head, feeling overwhelmed. "I can't just step into that world, Haruto. It's dangerous, and dangerous is an understatement," he interrupted, his voice low. "But it's also the reality of my life. The world I come from doesn't play by the same rules as yours." Maya took a moment to process his words. She had always been cautious about the life choices she made, and now she was being thrust into a situation that could compromise everything she had worked for. "You're asking me to risk my life for your business?" she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Is that what this is about?" "It's about more than just business," he insisted, his gaze softening for a brief moment. "It's about survival, yours and mine. I need you to understand that I would protect you with everything I have, but I can't do that if you're not willing to step into this with me." The sincerity in his voice tugged at her heart. She saw the vulnerability that lay beneath his powerful exterior, the man who had faced countless challenges yet remained resolute. But could she trust him? "Why me?" she asked again, searching for clarity. "There must be others who could assist you. Why put this burden on me?" "Because I see something in you, Maya," he replied, leaning forward, his intensity captivating. "You have a strength that others lack. You're not afraid to fight for what's right, and that's exactly what I need." The air between them crackled with tension, and she felt her defenses beginning to crumble. Despite the uncertainty, a part of her wanted to believe him, but the fear of the unknown loomed large in her mind. "Just give it time," he said softly, reaching across the table to touch her hand. His fingers brushed against hers, igniting a spark that sent shivers down her spine. "You don't have to decide right now, but know that I'll be here, ready to help you navigate this new reality." Maya pulled her hand back, feeling the heat of his touch linger. "I need to think about it," she finally said, her voice steadying as she regained her composure. "This isn't just a decision for me. It affects my family, my career, everything." "Take all the time you need," he replied, respect in his voice. "But remember, the clock is ticking. There are forces at play that won't wait for you to decide." As the evening progressed, Maya found herself caught in a whirlwind of emotions. The conversation shifted to lighter topics, and she realized that beneath the surface of danger and tension, there was an undeniable chemistry building between them. They laughed, shared stories, and for brief moments, the weight of their circumstances faded away. Yet, as the night wore on, the shadow of the debt loomed larger in her mind. Haruto's world was undeniably magnetic, but she couldn't ignore the risks that came with it. How could she reconcile her growing feelings for him with the reality of the path he was leading her down? After finishing their meal, Haruto led her to the rooftop terrace, where the city lights twinkled like stars against the night sky. The view was breathtaking, yet all Maya could focus on was the man beside her. "Do you ever wonder what it would be like to escape it all?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Every day," he replied, his gaze locked onto hers. "But the reality is that we can't escape who we are. We can only choose how we navigate our circumstances." Maya's heart raced at the intensity of his words. "And what if I choose to walk away?" Haruto stepped closer, his expression serious. "Then you risk losing everything, including the opportunity for something more. I can offer you a life filled with passion, excitement, and yes, danger. But it's a choice only you can make." The tension between them thickened, and Maya felt the pull of attraction once more. His vulnerability mixed with confidence made her heart flutter, and for a moment, she entertained the idea of surrendering to the unknown. But the reality of her situation crashed back in, and she took a step back, needing space to breathe. "I'm not ready to make that choice tonight," she said. "Then let's take it one step at a time," he replied, a hint of understanding in his eyes. "No pressure, just let me show you what my world is like." As the night drew to a close, Maya felt torn between her old life and the new one looming before her. The thrill of the unknown was intoxicating, yet the stakes were high. Could she truly find her place in Haruto's world, or would she lose herself in the process? With every heartbeat, she knew she was standing on the edge of a precipice, and the decision she made next could change everything. As she stepped into the cool night air, she realized that the real question wasn't just about her family's debt, it was about her heart and the power it held over her future. With Haruto by her side, she was beginning to understand that love could come with a price, and sometimes the most significant debt was the one you owed to yourself. As Maya stood beneath the flickering streetlight, the cool night air swirled around her, carrying with it the scent of impending rain. The city felt alive, pulsing with energy, yet she felt as if she were in a bubble, separated from the chaos surrounding her. Haruto's presence beside her was both a comfort and a source of turmoil. She could feel the weight of his gaze, the intensity of his emotions, and she wasn't sure if she was ready to confront the reality that lay ahead. "Are you sure about this?" Haruto asked, his voice low and steady, cutting through the night like a razor. He turned to face her fully, his dark eyes searching hers for any sign of hesitation. It was a question laced with gravity, one that held the promise of danger and the thrill of the unknown. As Maya stood beneath the flickering streetlight, the cool night air swirled around her, carrying with it the scent of impending rain. The city felt alive, pulsing with energy, yet she felt as if she were in a bubble, separated from the chaos surrounding her. Haruto's presence beside her was both a comfort and a source of turmoil. She could feel the weight of his gaze, the intensity of his emotions, and she wasn't sure if she was ready to confront the reality that lay ahead. "Are you sure about this?" Haruto asked, his voice low and steady, cutting through the night like a razor. He turned to face her fully, his dark eyes searching hers for any sign of hesitation. It was a question laced with gravity, one that held the promise of danger and the thrill of the unknown. Maya took a deep breath, the air thick with the scent of asphalt and possibility. "I don't know if I am," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I can't go back to pretending everything is fine when it's not. My family's debt, it's weighing on me more than I care to admit." Haruto stepped closer, closing the distance between them. His presence was magnetic, and Maya felt the familiar pull of attraction mixed with fear. "You don't have to bear this alone," he said, his tone softening as he reached out to tuck a loose strand of hair behind her ear. The simple gesture sent shivers down her spine, igniting a spark of warmth in her chest. "But what does that mean?" she asked, her heart racing. "What happens when your world collides with mine? I can't just walk into the chaos of the Yakuza and expect to survive." "You won't be alone in this," he reassured her, his voice firm yet gentle as he reached out to tuck a loose strand of hair behind her ear. The simple gesture sent shivers down her spine, igniting a spark of warmth in her chest. "But what does that mean?" she asked, her heart racing. "What happens when your world collides with mine? I can't just walk into the chaos of the Yakuza and expect to survive." "You won't be alone in this," he reassured her, his voice firm yet gentle. "I'll protect you. I'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe." The sincerity in his words disarmed her, leaving her momentarily speechless. She wanted to believe him, to trust that he could shield her from the dangers that lurked in the shadows, but doubt crept in, threatening to cloud her judgment. "Your life is dangerous, Haruto," she finally managed to say, her voice trembling slightly. "I can't just be a pawn in your game. I have my own life to consider, my own dreams." He nodded, understanding the weight of her concerns. "I know, and I don't want you to become part of this world unless you choose to. But the truth is, you're already connected to it. Your family's debt ties you to me, and whether you like it or not, it puts you in danger." The reality of his words hung between them, heavy and undeniable. Maya could feel the walls closing in, the pressure mounting as she realized just how intertwined their fates had become. She had thought that by stepping into Haruto's world, she could help her family, but now she understood that it was far more complex than that. "What do we do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as if the very act of speaking the question might shatter the fragile balance they had achieved. "How do we face this?" Haruto's jaw tightened, and for a moment, the mask of the powerful Yakuza boss slipped, revealing a flicker of vulnerability beneath. "We confront it together," he replied, determination lacing his words. "I'll show you how to navigate this world. We'll deal with the threats together, but you have to trust me, Maya. You have to let me in." His earnestness made her heart flutter, but fear gnawed at her insides. Could she truly trust him? The allure of the unknown was tempting, but the stakes were higher than she had ever anticipated. What if she lost herself in his world? What if she lost him? Just then, a distant siren wailed, cutting through the night like a warning bell. Maya looked toward the sound, her instincts kicking in. "We should get inside," she suggested, glancing around nervously. "It's not safe out here." Haruto nodded, his expression shifting back to that of the composed mafia boss she had first encountered. "Follow me." He led her down a narrow alley, the air growing heavier as they moved deeper into the shadows. Maya's heart raced, not just from the thrill of being close to him, but from the realization that she was stepping into a world filled with uncertainty. They arrived at a discreet entrance to a high-end lounge, the kind that exuded exclusivity and danger in equal measure. As they stepped inside, the atmosphere shifted. The low hum of conversations and clinking glasses surrounded them, and Maya felt the tension in her shoulders ease slightly. This was a world she could navigate, at least on the surface. Haruto guided her to a secluded table in the corner, shielding them from prying eyes. The ambiance was lush, the lighting dim, creating an intimacy that felt electric. As they settled into their seats, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that every decision they made would ripple outwards, altering the course of their lives forever. "So, what now?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "How do we deal with the debt? What does it mean for us?" Haruto leaned back, his gaze piercing as he contemplated her question. "For now, we need to understand the situation fully. I've already spoken to my people, and they've been keeping an eye on your family's affairs. The debt is a tool for leverage, but I'd rather not use it against you." Maya felt a pang of gratitude mixed with concern. What if they come after us? What if they try to hurt my family to get to you? The thought sent chills down her spine, and she couldn't shake the image of her loved ones in danger. "Then I will make sure they regret it," Haruto replied, his voice laced with a cold intensity that both frightened and fascinated her. "I have resources, connections that can protect you and your family. It's just a matter of time before we can settle this." She watched him, studying the way he carried himself with confidence, the way he commanded the attention of those around him without even trying. "You make it sound so simple," Maya said, her skepticism creeping in. "But nothing about this is simple. It's a web of danger, and I'm not sure I can handle it." He reached across the table, his hand covering hers in a gesture of solidarity. "You're stronger than you think, Maya. You've already faced so much, and this is just another challenge. We will face it together, and I'll be with you every step of the way." His touch sent sparks of electricity coursing through her, igniting a desire she had tried to suppress. She was drawn to him, not just because of his power, but because of the vulnerability he allowed her to see. It was an intoxicating mix, and for a moment, she let herself lean into it. "What if I don't want to be part of this world?" she asked, her voice softening as she searched his eyes for answers. "What if I want to walk away?" Haruto's expression shifted, a flicker of something darker crossing his face. "You can choose to walk away, but understand that your family's debt will still loom over you. The Yakuza does not let go easily. If you turn your back, they will come for you." The weight of his words settled heavily on her, pressing down like a leaden cloak. She knew he was right, but the thought of being trapped in a world of shadows and violence terrified her. "What happens if I stay?" she asked, her heart racing at the implications of her question. "Then you'll learn to navigate it," he said, his voice steady but filled with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. "You'll learn how to protect yourself and the people you love, and you'll find that you're not just a pawn in this game. You can be a queen." Maya felt her breath hitch in her throat at his words, a mixture of fear and excitement swirling within her. The idea of power, of agency, was intoxicating. But could she truly become part of a world that was so different from her own? As the night wore on, their conversation deepened, each revelation peeling back layers of their lives. Haruto shared glimpses of his world, the sacrifices he had made, the losses he had endured, and the loneliness that often accompanied his position. In return, Maya opened up about her struggles, her dreams, and the weight of her family's expectations. With every shared secret, the distance between them closed, and Maya found herself grappling with her feelings for him. The chemistry was undeniable, a force drawing them together even as the world around them threatened to tear them apart. She could see the man behind the mafia facade, the one who cared deeply, who had endured his own battles, and the realization made her heart race. But just as she began to feel a sense of connection, a sudden commotion erupted from the entrance of the lounge. Haruto's demeanor shifted instantly, his body tensing as he turned toward the source of the disturbance. Maya followed his gaze to see a group of men entering, their faces hardened and eyes scanning the room like predators seeking prey. "Stay here," he commanded, his voice low and urgent. The authority in his tone sent a chill down her spine, and she nodded, feeling the adrenaline surge through her. Haruto moved swiftly, his posture shifting from relaxed to alert in an instant. He approached the group with an air of confidence, but Maya could sense the tension crackling in the air. She remained at the table, her heart pounding as she watched the scene unfold. The men exchanged hushed words with Haruto, their expressions a mix of disdain and curiosity. Maya could see the tension in his jaw, the way his fists clenched at his sides. She felt a surge of helplessness, wishing she could be by his side to support him, but knowing that this was a world she had yet to fully understand. Just then, one of the men stepped forward, a smirk curling his lips as he addressed Haruto. "I didn't expect to find you here, boss. Are you losing your touch?" The taunt was laced with venom, and Maya could see the way Haruto's expression darkened, his eyes flashing with a dangerous intensity. "Leave," Haruto replied, his voice low and commanding. "You don't want to make this a problem." The man laughed mockingly, unfazed by Haruto's warning. "You think you can just brush us aside? We have business to settle, and it involves you and her." He gestured towards Maya, his expression turning predatory. Maya's stomach churned at the implication, her heart racing as she realized the threat they posed. Haruto stepped forward, blocking the man's path, his body radiating an aura of power and danger. "You will not touch her. This is between us." The tension in the air thickened, and Maya felt a rush of fear for Haruto, knowing that he was willing to put himself in harm's way to protect her. The standoff felt electric, every heartbeat echoing in her ears as she watched the confrontation unfold. In that moment, she knew she had to make a choice. She could either remain a passive observer, allowing Haruto to shield her from the chaos, or she could step into the fray and fight alongside him. As the stakes escalated, she felt a surge of courage rise within her. "Haruto," she called, her voice breaking through the tension. "I'm not afraid. I want to stand with you." His eyes widened in surprise, and for a brief moment, the chaos faded as he looked at her, a mix of admiration and concern crossing his face. "Maya, this is dangerous. I can handle it." "I know you can," she replied, her voice steady and resolute. "But I want to be part of this too. I can't hide while you fight my battles. You mean too much to me." Haruto's expression softened. The fierceness in his gaze shifted to something deeper, more vulnerable. "You don't understand what you're asking for." "Maybe I don't," she admitted, taking a step closer to him, their connection palpable. "But I'm willing to learn. I want to understand your world, and I want to fight for what we have." As the tension in the room simmered, Haruto's resolve seemed to strengthen. He turned back to the group, his stance commanding. "You want to settle this? Let's settle it now. But know this, if you come after her, You'll have to go through me first." The confrontation reached its boiling point, and Maya could feel the electricity in the air as the rivals exchanged glances, weighing their options. The atmosphere crackled with uncertainty, but Maya felt a sense of empowerment wash over her. She was no longer just a pawn, she was a player in this game of danger and desire. As Haruto's fierce determination radiated from him, she saw the man's smirk fade, replaced by a flicker of hesitation. They could sense the strength in Haruto, the loyalty he commanded from those around him. And with Maya by his side, they had become an unmistakable force. The rivals' bravado began to wane, and after a tense moment, they stepped back, their retreat a sign of respect for the bond that had formed between Maya and Haruto. "This isn't over, boss," the leader spat, a threat lacing his words. "We'll be watching." With that, they turned and exited the lounge, leaving behind a charged silence that enveloped Maya and Haruto. As the door swung shut, the weight of the moment hung between them, thick with unspoken emotions. Haruto turned to her, his expression a mixture of gratitude and concern. "You shouldn't have done that. It was dangerous." Maya took a deep breath, her heart racing as she stepped closer to him. "But it was necessary. I want to fight with you, not just stand on the sidelines. I'm not afraid of your world, Haruto. I want to be part of it." His gaze softened, and in that moment, the world around them faded away. The tension that had filled the lounge dissipated, leaving only the two of them standing on the precipice of something new, something powerful. With a sense of urgency, Haruto reached for her, pulling her into his embrace. The warmth of his body enveloped her, and she melted into him, feeling the strength and protection he offered. In that moment, everything felt right, as if they had found their place in each other's lives. As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, Maya felt a surge of determination. She had made a choice, and it was one that would change the course of their lives forever. Together, they would navigate the dangerous world of the Yakuza, confronting the challenges ahead with courage and unwavering loyalty. "Whatever comes next," she whispered against his shoulder, "we face it together." Haruto pulled back slightly, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that sent her heart racing. "Together," he echoed, a promise sealed between them, a bond forged in the fires of adversity. With a newfound resolve, they prepared to face the challenges ahead, ready to confront the shadows that threatened their future. The road would be difficult, but with each other by their side, they knew they could overcome anything. As they stepped out of the lounge into the cool night air, the city sprawled before them, a labyrinth of light and darkness. The stakes had never been higher, but Maya felt empowered, ready to embrace the uncertainty that lay ahead. In the world of the Yakuza, love and loyalty would be tested, but together they would carve their own path, defying the odds stacked against them. And in that moment, as they ventured into the unknown, Maya realized that sometimes the greatest debts are the ones we owe to ourselves, and the love that binds us in the face of danger is worth any price.